Good Monday morning and welcome to TWINN number 71, where in 5 minutes or less, I plan on sharing with you just some stories in the cybersecurity world that we need to be paying attention to and adjust accordingly. But first, let's talk about phishing and why it's still growing in 22. The number of successful phishing incidents continues to grow year after year. In 2020, there were 241,342 incidents reported to the FBI. A year later, in 2021, that number rose by 34% to 323,972. So why is it still on the rise? This reminds me of when William Sutton was asked why he robbed banks, and he famously responded, "That's because that's where the money is." The same would apply today, but if I were asked why phishing specifically is still on the rise, I would say it's because victims and our industry lets it happen. The truth is that prevention is absolutely possible, but this story here illustrates why and how it still keeps on happening, because this particular thief was convicted of stealing the Department of Defense in the amount of $23.5 million. Now, with transactions of this size, there are often sufficient roadblocks that prevent the thief from getting away with it, but it's the 5- and 6-figure thefts that are often not recoverable. In our next story, we have over 200 Spanish mobile numbers that are possible targets of Pegasus spyware. Remember that the Pegasus spyware can spy even on a fully patched iPhone. So what's important to recognize here is that this needs not to happen. We do have mitigations that match any threat level, and it is possible and on a regular basis that high-value assets are protected with appropriate guardrails using zero trust principles. Now, Heroku has begun user password resets, but almost a month after their GitHub OAuth token theft occurred. And the reason this is an important story for us to pay attention to is that a significant amount of apps on your phone are likely run by Heroku infrastructure. Now, from a mobile device user's point of view, this is a supply chain attack that you have no control over whatsoever, but keep an eye out for more breach reports as a result of this. And interestingly, US considers imposing sanctions on Hikvision. Now, for years, we have already protected client networks that use Hikvision equipment. By default, many of their products relay video feeds via China. That alone makes many Westerners uneasy, and it can be prevented, as in the relay of that video can be prevented using a zero trust approach, and thereby prevents exfiltration. And that is if keeping the equipment to begin with is even considered. And in our last story, I'm sharing some indicators of compromise that Google released in their blog. And what's interesting here is that very few of these domains today are even blocked by traditional threat intelligence. However, when you take a zero trust approach, 100% of these domains are blocked. And so it's worth considering zero trust any place where these domains might be found. And did you know that LinkedIn Learning is a massive training resource that is highly structured? The best news is that it most likely is free through your local public library. Do a search for LinkedIn Learning plus your library town name, and you'll find a starting point like ours is here in London, Ontario. And thanks for watching. See you again next week. Bye for now.